foundation in my life. And that's an important thing right now. We live in a time when there are a lot of things that challenge us, and we need to have a strong and stable foundation to be able to interpret and see what's going on around us, and to understand and to make important decisions for ourselves and our families and our future. And the only way we can do that really is by having Christ as the foundation of our life. Now, I've had some great foundations in my life. Um, in my patriarchal blessing, the very first thing that I was told is that I grew up in a foundation of having the gospel in my home, similar to what Nephi had. And that was a great foundation. And I did get the gospel, and I got the teachings of the gospel, and I got the start of a testimony. And that was a good foundation. And it definitely helped me later on in my life. Another great foundation that I have is being sealed to your mother in the temple. That is an incredible foundation. That is a foundation for this whole family. And it is a strength and a power that is given to each one of us because we were sealed together. And each one of you are connected to us because of that. And that provides strength and stability for me, and I believe for all of you, that knowing that our family is built on this foundation of being connected to the Savior and to the gospel in a way that in the next life we will have access to everything that we need to be able to grow and develop and to have all the blessings that we're supposed to have. When I got really active in church, something that became a foundation for me was the Book of Mormon. And I'm not even sure how I knew this, but I knew that if I was going to be strong in the gospel at all, that I would have to read from the Book of Mormon every single day. And so, as soon as I knew that I needed to be living the gospel the way that I knew that I should, I started reading the Book of Mormon. And it is a foundation for me, and it's such a significant and important thing. And I love the Book of Mormon, and all these things include the Savior in them. And they're important, and they're such a part of the puzzle and the overall scheme of things. But what I've come to realize this last year is how important, even though I know it's been important, is how to get better connected with the Savior and actually make him a foundation in my life. And so that's kind of what I really want to talk about a little bit, is what is it that happened to me, and what is it that made this year so much different? As we, along with everybody else, started doing Come Follow Me, which is a lot more intense study of the scriptures. We spent a lot of time together as a family, usually an hour to an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. We would spend in the evening studying the New Testament.
That one too.
And it was powerful.
There you go.
And as we've been studying the Book of Mormon together at home in a new way, it's been powerful how much I've learned about the Savior. One of the first things that I learned, or that I've come to learn in the last year and a half or so, is the gospel is not a checklist of things that we're supposed to do. So often when we think about living the gospel, we think about, okay, I've got to get baptized, I've got to, go to church every Sunday, I've got to do my ministry, and I have all these things that I do, and it's a checklist, and when I do them, I check them off, and I'm done. But what I realized is that's not how the gospel works. I mean, those things are there to encourage us and to train us and to teach us to love the Savior, to have an actual relationship with the Savior. And so in doing those things, which are all important and we need to do them, there is a spirit that can come to us through them if we look at them more of, how is this helping to build my relationship with the Savior right now? Is this getting me closer? Not, am I earning my way to heaven? Am I earning, am I getting everything done on my checklist so I can say, hey, look, here I did my checklist. That's not the way the gospel was intended to work. And I don't know if I made that connection for a long time, but I know that now, that it is about how we have this relationship with our Savior, Jesus Christ, and with our Father in heaven. An interesting quote that Elder Holland made, he was, one of the things that I have really connected with is as we went back through the Tree of Life vision with Nephi and Lehi, and it was interesting when Nephi first wanted to know about what his father's vision was about. An angel came to him and said, as soon as Nephi prayed, he said, what is it that you want to know about the tree? And it was interesting. And Nephi said, well, I'm interested in the whole tree. And what Nephi soon learned was that the tree was the representation of all the things that the Savior has done. His birth, his ministry, and the covenants that everyone has made over the history of the earth, and kind of this process of how the covenants work. Once he learned about that, then he was also told about all the people that were on the path. So all of us have, as we come to earth, we have this process that we're going through, and we're all progressing towards the same. There's some people that didn't. There's some people that were just in the great and spacious building, and that was it. They were content with that, and that's all that they had. Then there were other groups of people that got on the path that led to the tree. And what's interesting is there are two groups of those people that made it to the tree. And one group got to the tree, and they just went straight and partook of the fruit. And right after they partook of the fruit, they looked around, and then people started mocking them from the great spacious building. And when they saw that happen, they were disturbed by it, and they ended up leaving. Here they had made it all the way, and they didn't stay. Why didn't they stay? And what's interesting is there was a second group, and it's a very subtle thing, but when they got to the tree, it says that they fell to their knees because they recognized the tree as the Savior. And they didn't care about the people that were mocking. And then they partook of the fruit. So what I believe is those people that came and partook of the fruit, they were going through the checklist. They were earning their way to get to the tree, but then when they got there, they didn't recognize that it was the Savior. They didn't have the relationship. That relationship is so important. Two more things that I'll tell you quickly about. Another thing that I've come to realize more that helps us build this foundation of the Savior is our weaknesses do not disqualify us from the love of the Savior. And Mom talked about that. We all have weaknesses, we make mistakes, and there's some great stories in the scriptures about people, even Joseph Smith, as he was going through the process of getting the plagues. And Peter, look at Peter, the Apostle Peter, right as Christ was going through his most difficult time, he denied the Savior 3 times. Well, did that disqualify Peter? Was he like, okay, sorry, Peter, you really messed this one up, and, sorry, you lose everything. He didn't. The Savior still loved him and gave him the chance to overcome that. And it's the same with each of us. Our mistakes and weaknesses do not disqualify us from the Savior's love. He still loves us the same, and it's up to us to overcome those things with his help so that we can actually receive all the blessings that we're supposed to receive.